Hello everyone. Today we are going to cover reading list of headings, as this is one of those topics which is found to be difficult by many students throughout. So on special demand, I am going to cover a list of headings for the passage named as tourism. So this is the third passage. It is generally difficult, and the headings are also difficult. So I will let you know the method which you should be using for doing list of headings. So we are going to cover list of headings today. So I have already done questions other than list of headings, so that's why these are marked like this. But there are 5 questions for list of headings in this passage. So we have 6 paragraphs. So paragraph D is already done. So that's why paragraph D is 9th. So what we will do is we will cross this one. So list of headings is basically needs a method. It's not just randomly picking up the headings and giving the answers. No. So there is some strategy which needs to be followed if you want to practice list of headings. Alright, so let's get straight into it. So there are 5 questions we have to solve, and there are 8 headings. That means the 3 will still be left. So what we will do is we will start reading the passage A. And what we will do is we will try to understand this one, and we will try to form the sub summaries, like in these few lines, what is the crux of these lines, and then these lines. So we will form sub summaries. Basically, forming sub summaries is very important. So let's read, because for list of headings you would have to read, you would have to have that idea in your mind to form the summary of this one, this particular paragraph, so that you can pick a correct heading for this one. Tourism, holiday making, and travel are these days more significant social phenomena than most commentators have considered. Okay, that means they are talking about the significance. On the face of it, there could not be a more trivial subject for a book. And indeed, since social scientists have had considerable difficulty explaining weightier topics such as work or politics, it might be thought that they would have greater difficulties in accounting for more trivial phenomena such as holiday making. So in these ones they are just talking about holiday making and other things like work, politics, and holiday making, of course. So they are giving the significance of these ones, and at the same time they are also saying that these are trivial means those topics which are not quite important. So they are just comparing. So that means in these ones the sub summary of this, like these lines, is making a comparison between the topics which are more significant and the ones which are trivial. So the opposite of more significant is trivial. So trivial. However, there are interesting parallels with the study of deviance. This involves the investigation of bizarre and idiosyncratic social practices which happen to be defined as deviant in some societies but not necessarily in others. So what will happen is you won't be able to understand the meaning of each and every line, but that's absolutely okay if you are doing list of headings. Understanding the exact meaning of the sentence is important when you are doing true, false, not given, or fill-ups. But in this one there should be no problem, even if you are not able to understand few sentences, but you should be knowing the crux of this. All right. So, for example, we are not able to understand these lines. That's okay. But we were able to understand these lines, right? The assumption, now they're talking about assumption. So the third subsummary. The assumption is that the investigation of deviance. So in this one, they were talking about deviance. Deviance means, deviance is basically a difference. For example, your age is 32, but your father said that your age is 35. So deviance is 3. So basically the difference. So they're talking about deviance, maybe deviance in terms of importance and being trivial. So they're talking about the deviance in this one. The assumption is that the investigation of deviance can reveal, yes. So if we are talking about deviance, then it can reveal interesting and significant aspects of normal societies. It could be said that a similar analysis can be applied to tourism, and then they are again taking into consideration tourism. So for example, I don't know the meaning of deviance. So somewhere in back of my mind, I think it is the meaning. So when you are doing your list of headings in the exam, so you, even if you are somewhere closer to that thing, then that should be okay. All right. So now once we are able to read this, not quite thoroughly, but just reading it, so we got to know that in this one basically they are talking about tourism, and they are also kind of telling that it's important. So we are not considering it quite important, but it is important. So that's why they are talking about deviance, that is being important and being trivial. Trivial means not that important. And then they are saying that if we are working towards this deviance, so investigating this one, then it can reveal interesting things, and these interesting things are applied to tourism. All right. So now comes the game. So list of headings is done by eliminating. Okay. So the role of modern tour guides. So they're not talking about tour guides. The artificiality of modern tourism. So they are talking about modern. They're talking about tourism, but not about modern. And they're also not talking about it being artificial. Tourism versus leisure. Are they talking something about leisure? Okay, I think the essence of modern tourism. So they are not talking about modern tourism, but just tourism. Tourism contrasted with travel. So are they talking about travel? They are not talking about travel or leisure basically, but they are finding the deviance between the importance of tourism and non-importance. For example, I say that tourism is 70% important, but actual one of my friends says that tourism is 95% important. So this is they're talking about deviance. So they're just talking about tourism thing. But still, let's see. Justifying the study of tourism. Cost of tourism. So they're not talking about cost. The politics of tourism. So they're not talking anything about politics. So we are left with 3 things. Sixth one, they are talking about 2 things, tourism and leisure. Fourth, they're talking about tourism and travel. But the entire paragraph is talking about tourism. And they are justifying that it is important, that studying tourism is important. Because in the last, they were saying that if we investigate it, we are going to reveal some interesting, significant aspects of tourism. That means in the entire paragraph, they are talking about tourism, and then they are saying that there is a deviance. People think that it's 70% important, but actually it's 95% important. And then in the end, they are saying that if we investigate this deviance, then we are going to find something very interesting, significant related to tourism. So in the entire paragraph, they are talking about tourism, and they want to justify the importance of tourism, and they are saying that there should be a kind of investigation. So justifying the study of tourism. So they are saying that tourism needs to be studied, because if we study it, if we investigate it, then we are going to reveal some important, interesting and significant aspects. So answer is third. So elimination is the thing which you should follow in list of headings. All right, so it was already done. So now let's read the second one. So you have to take help of two things. One is understanding the basic crux of the paragraph forming the sub-summaries. So it's not quite important to understand each and every line, but just forming the sub-summaries and then elimination. So we'll form sub-summaries. Okay, so B is saying tourism is a leisure activity which presupposes its opposite, namely regulated and organized work. It is one manifestation of how work and leisure are organized as separate and regulated spheres of social practice in modern societies. Okay, so they are talking about the criteria or the scenario in modern society. In the modern society, that they're saying that tourism is a leisure activity and there are some other organized works, that there are some regulated spheres where rules need to be followed, but maybe in tourism it is just a leisure activity, so no rule needs to be followed. So they are comparing tourism with other regulated things. Regulated things means the things wherein there should be some rules. So they are comparing tourism with regulated works or spheres. Okay, and this comparison is made in the modern society. Okay, indeed, acting as a tourist is one of the defining characteristics of being modern. Again, see, they are talking about being modern. So if a person is a tourist, that means he's modern. So in this one, they were also talking about the aspects of modern society, and in these lines, they are also talking about being modern. And the popular concept of tourism is that it is organized within particular places and occurs for regularized period of time. Tourist relationships arise from a movement of people to and their stay in various destinations. So they are talking about tourism, that is their movement here and there. This necessarily involves some movement, that is the journey, and a period of stay in new place or places. Okay, here they are just talking general, they're just giving general things about like who a tourist is and how does he wander here and there. The journey, so here they are comparing regularized work and leisure activity in the modern society, and here they are giving that being modern means being a tourist, and then in this entire thing they are talking about tourism. Last, the journey, so maybe the answer is the one which had the word modern. Let's see. So the last sub-summary, the journey and the stay are by definition outside the normal places of residence and work and are of short-term and temporary nature, and there is clear intention to return home within a relatively short period of time. So the journey and the stay are by defining outside. So the journey and the stay means staying outside the normal places, or coming back to home again after a short period of time and something like that. So again they are talking about what tourism is. All right. So, okay, so now we are able to find the crux in back of our mind that they are talking about this and they all are linked. So here they are talking about the differences between regularized work and leisure activity in modern society. Then they are talking about the characteristic which is important for being modern, and then throughout they are talking about what tourism is, like what are the things which are involved in tourism. Right. So now let's eliminate. The role of modern tour guides. They are not talking about guides. The artificiality of modern tourism. They are talking about modern tourism, but they are not talking that it is fake. They are not talking that it is fake. They are just saying that this is modern tourism and these are all the things which are there in modern tourism. So they are showing the reality. So they are not talking anything about artificiality. Tourism versus leisure. So they are not actually comparing anything. So they are not comparing anything. They are just telling everything about tourism. So versus, no. The essence of modern tourism. Yes. So modern tourism. Yes. So they are talking about modern tourism. So the answer would be the one which has modern tourism word. So maybe fifth. this modern tour guides. So these all have the word modern. So this won't be the answer because tour guides are not there. This won't be the answer because artificiality is not there. So the only answer left is 5. So the answer to 29th is 5. A sense of modern tourism. A sense means the basic qualities. I mean, basically the definition of tourism. A sense means basically the definition, like what is tourism, because in the paragraph they are firstly telling us the things, like differentiating between the things and letting us know that what being a modern personality means, and then throughout they are giving the characteristics of tourism, means the definition of tourism, means what is there in tourism. That means they are giving the definition, that means they are giving the basic and the most important qualities, that means they are giving the essence. So this entire thing is essence, and this entire thing is talking about modern. So this is talking about essence, this is talking about modern. So the answer is modern, a sense of modern tourism. So the only one left is the essence of modern tourism. So answer is 5. All right, the third one. A substantial proportion of population of modern societies engages in such tourist practices. Okay, so they are getting themselves involved in tourist practices. New socialized forms of provision have developed in order to cope with the mass character of the gazes of tourists as opposed to the individual character of travel places. So now they are talking about mass tourism and individual tourism. So they are comparing mass tourism and then individual tourism. New socialized forms of provision have developed in order to cope with the mass character of the gazes of tourists as opposed to means versus, means they are comparing. So that's a comparison. As opposed to the individual character of travel places are chosen to be visited and be gazed upon because there is an anticipation, especially through daydreaming, means the people who travel, so they daydream, they think that we will be having a lot of pleasure, a lot of fun, so they are daydreaming about that tourist attraction, about daydreaming, about fantasy of intense pleasure, either on a different scale or involving different senses from those customarily encountered. Such anticipation means they are thinking in advance, because for example you have to go to a certain place as a tourist, then 5 days before itself you are daydreaming that this would be my experience, so you are anticipating. Is constructed and sustained through variety of non-tourist practices such as film, literature, magazine, records and videos, which construct and reinforce this daydreaming. So basically here they are saying that you daydream, here they are saying that this daydreaming is becomes true. So this daydreaming is supported when you watch films, read books, magazines, wherein those places are depicted. For example, you are seeing a TV show or a song or reading a book or a magazine, so there you are getting to know that how will Nepal look like. So you are daydreaming, and then when you watch TV, read magazines and all that stuff, then this daydreaming is supported. All right, so let's see what the answer would be. So first of all, let's see what the crux is. All right, so here they are comparing mass tourism and individual travel, and then they are entirely in these one they're talking about daydreaming. Okay, now let's eliminate. The role of modern tour guides. No. Artificiality of modern tourism. Artificiality, they are not talking anything about being artificial. and moreover they are also not talking about modern. So there is a difference between artificial and daydreaming. Daydreaming means you are dreaming that you would have such kind of experience, and artificial is the one which is fake. But that daydreaming is going to happen because once you visit Nepal you are going to experience that, so that's not artificial. And they are also not talking about modern. So tourism versus leisure, so they are not comparing two. So there is one comparison made, but that comparison is not between tourism and leisure, but this is between, the comparison is between tourism, between tourists, between tourism and travel, and traveling alone. Okay, so mass thing, I mean, going collectively and then going individually, traveling to places individually. Okay, so there is a comparison related to that, but not the one which is here. So tourism versus leisure, so they are comparing tourism versus travel, but not leisure. The essence, so this is done. Tourism contrasted with the travel, so the answer will be the one which has comparison. So either fourth, because it has comparison, tourism versus leisure, this, that's it. And second would not be the answer because cost is not there, politics involved is also not there, justifying the study of tourism, study, so they're not talking about study. So maybe this one, this is done, so maybe fourth, sixth or seventh. Tour guides, and so they're not talking about tour guides. So any one of these. Artificiality of modern industry, so they're not talking about modern, they're not talking about artificial, so eliminated. Tourism versus leisure or tourism versus travel. So now here comes the picture. So you would have to choose one, either tourism versus travel or tourism versus leisure. So they are talking about tourism and travel in the very first few lines. They are talking about tourism. So they are talking about tourism and travel. So tourism versus travel, not tourism versus leisure. So we will eliminate tourism versus leisure. So the answer is tourism versus travel. That's fourth. All right, let's wind it up by doing these two more. So 31st is paragraph E. D is already done. Okay, so paragraph E. 31. All right, let's make a few sub-summaries. One of the earliest dissertations on the subject of tourism is this analysis of the pseudo event, where he argues that contemporary Americans cannot experience reality directly but thrive on pseudo events. Okay, so they're talking, so this is clearly talking about artificiality. Isolated from the host environment with local people, the mass tourist travels in guide group. Okay, so we'll form sub-summaries. One of the earliest dissertation on subject of tourism is this analysis of the pseudo event, where he argues that contemporary Americans cannot experience reality directly but thrive on pseudo events. So they are talking about a thing wherein the tourists cannot experience the real thing, but they just thrive on pseudo events. Pseudo events may be, for example, in exam we don't know the meaning of pseudo, but somewhere in my mind it says that it's opposite of the real event, because they are saying that he argues that contemporary Americans cannot experience reality directly because there is a word but, a very important word, because I am able to understand the meaning of this line before but, that means the line after but is the opposite. So line before but is reality, real, not fake, but after the word but, it means it's fake. So they are saying pseudo events means fake or artificial. So maybe the answer is that artificial thing, where he argues that contemporary Americans cannot experience reality directly. So they can't experience reality. So what they can experience just the pseudo events, means the artificial events. isolated from the host environment. Actually, that environment is different from the one which is real environment. And the local people, the mass tourists travel in guide group and finds pleasure in inauthentic. So yes, they are talking about tour guides also. So maybe the answer is related to tour guides, but only one line will not justify your heading. The entire paragraph should talk about that. So these all like 5-6 lines are talking about artificial thing. This line is talking about mass tourism. So the answer will depend on these ones. So if they are talking about mass tourism, tour guides, then the answer could be tour guides. Otherwise, it will definitely be the one related to artificial. Find pleasure in inauthentic. Inauthentic again means fake. Fake means artificial. Contrived attraction, gullibly enjoying the pseudo events and disregarding. And again, see. So, for example, I am unable to understand the meaning of this one. Still, you will be able to find the answer for your heading for your this paragraph heading. Disregarding the real world outside. So they are disregarding the real world. Again, they are saying the same thing, that they are not paying attention to the real world, but they are just enjoying the artificial environment of this tourism. Over time, the images generated of different tourist sites come to constitute a closed perpetuating system of illusions. Illusions is again a word which says fake, means it's not true. So the answer should be artificial thing, which provide the tourists with a basis of selecting and evaluating potential places to visit. Such a visit are made by this within the environment bubble of the American style hotel, which insulates the tourism for string. Okay, so they are talking about artificial. So for example, we are just short of time, so we will not just involve ourselves a lot in each and every line. So there is no need just forming the sub summaries. So here you had to form sub summaries, but in e paragraph there are a lot of words which are talking about artificial, so there is no need of making sub summaries here. So clearly the answer is artificiality of modern tourism, because nowadays people are just enjoying this thing. So pseudo means artificial. So we are just left with one. So here, if you don't have time, you can just pick one out of these, because this is also done. So we are left with this and just three. We are just left with 3-4 options. So just to read it real quick. To serve the burgeoning tourism industry, an area of professionals. So definitely, I guess it's going to be the one which is related to tour guides, because professionals has developed who attempt to reproduce ever new objects for the tourists. Yes, so they make the experience of tourists a lot better. Or places complex. This depends upon the interplay between competition between interests involved in the provision of such objects, and on the other hand, changing class, gender and generational distinction of taste within the potential population of visitors. That means they just change everything depending on the visitor they are interacting with. It has been said that to be a tourist is one of the characteristics of modern experience. Not to go away is like not possessing a car or a nice house. Travel is a market of status in modern societies and is also thought to be necessary for good health. The role of professional, so they're winding up this by again letting the importance of professional is to cater the needs. So they are taking care of the needs of tourists. So in the initial few lines, they are talking about professionals. So here I was getting lost. I was like, they are not talking about tourists here, so maybe the answer is not tourists, tour guides. But again, here they are giving the result by talking about the professional. That means the entire thing talks about professionals involved in tourist industry. That means definitely the answer is role of modern tour guides. So the answer is 8. So the game in list of headings is understanding the crux, just not getting to know the meaning of each and every word or each and every sentence. So it's not needed, because you guys get a lot less time in your exam. And then just eliminating the options which are not correct is very important. So I believe you are able to understand the list of headings. If you need a PDF of this one, I can attach it, but try to give it an attempt, understand it. And if you want such more videos, so just subscribe to my channel, just share with your friends and comment that you need more such videos, so I will try to post those. All right, so it was all for today. Thank you so much. Bye.